You're listening to the Angry Marks Podcast Network.
Welcome to the show that only happens 5 times a year. The absolutely useless, pointless, skippable, missable episode of NXT immediately following Takeover. Welcome to the show with 15 minutes of new material stretched out to 50 minutes thanks to the magic of television and instant replay. Oh man, Maddie. Tonight on NXT, I tell you to watch NXT Takeover Orlando this past Saturday night on the WWE Network. El Vagabundo appears, and I remind you that you should have just watched NXT Takeover Orlando, and you could have skipped 35 minutes of this program. And the 15 minutes you wouldn't have skipped, you could have skipped. It wasn't as funny as it sounds. All right, now that I've made it clear that you need to go watch NXT Takeover Orlando, just skip this show, skip everything, just like pretend it never happened because it really doesn't matter. Just watch Takeover. Go do that now. Just press pause, go watch Takeover, come back. I'll still be here. Okay, I'm back. Did you like Takeover? Good. Now prepared to hear about what happened at Takeover, which you may be thinking, hey, wait, I recognize your voice. You did a 31-minute Takeover review on Saturday, and you made that really stupid WrestleMania prediction. Number one, shut up. Number two, yes, I did. But hey, here we go with NXT, where we do almost nothing but recap Takeover, which I just told you to watch, which I hope you did. Okay. Now that that rant's out of the way, let's try to actually watch NXT this week. The commercial that aired immediately before NXT was a feature on the Vaudevillains. Oh well. To help get you ready for the entire episode, we started with a several-minute video package recapping the entirety of NXT TakeOver Orlando. That is not the last time we talk about NXT TakeOver Orlando, which remember I told you to watch. Then we went to the announcers where, shockingly, Tom Phillips, Percy Watson, and Nigel McGuinness did not start the show by telling us that this is the most unique crowd NXT will have all year. It's all about how the fans like to have fun and will boo the people they normally cheer and cheer the people they normally boo. It's funny they did not say that, but they really should have said that. Because we really did have a moment where somebody who was normally booed got cheered. This is the only time that could have actually been used as a valid excuse. Anyway, this show featured no beach balls. The crowd did not swear at the wrestlers, and there was no 20-minute opening promo where someone says 4 words total and gets sworn at for the other 19. However, we did have Peyton Royce, who is the hottest girl in NXT since Sasha left, and she took one-on-one with Arya. And I could sit here and make jokes and try to turn this into the Raw review and say that Arya is the newest call-up from Developmental, except she was here a few months ago and lost to Peyton Royce and Billie Kay all the time. And this is no different. She lost to Peyton Royce again. She literally got like a second of offense. Peyton Royce was down at one point, asked Billie Kay to pull her out of the ring. Billie Kay goes to pull her out, and Arya, like the jerk she is, goes over and stomps on poor Peyton Royce's hand, possibly damaging her manicure. Peyton Royce gave her one evil look, so I don't know how hard she stomped on their hands, but yeah. Anyway, Peyton beat the crap out of her and then pinned her with a perfect plex. Go watch NXT TakeOver, which features an 8-person tag team match with Sanity versus Ty Dillinger, Cassius Ohno, Roderick Strong, and Ruby Riott. And then go watch TakeOver again, which features Asuka versus Ember Moon for the NXT Women's Championship. And Asuka quote-unquote cut a promo after the match where she laughed at the idea that there was anyone left to face her. Go watch NXT TakeOver, because up next was the extended look at Aleister Black versus Andrade Cien Almas. Almas cared so much about losing that afterwards he went clubbing in Orlando and posted photos of it on his Instagram account, which apparently is part of his new gimmick. You could have watched TakeOver again, but instead you got to watch Heavy Machinery versus the Bollywood Boys. Heavy Machinery already have a new theme music, taking out the truck backing up beeping. Harv and Gerv Sira, by the way, their combined weight is less than Otis Dozovich's weight by himself. After 2 matches, we've already got the best of Heavy Machinery, as I don't think they have much left to do. They gave Harv the tossing up in the air bear hug. Gerv at one point tried to Pearl Harbor Otis, but he got caught and squashed between his much larger foe's stomachs. I'm serious, if you've never watched it. They literally bend him over and then run with stomach first from either side at his head. I can't imagine he gets CTE from that, but whatever. Anyway, they changed their finish slightly. This time Otis picked Harv up for a body slam, but instead of Tucker slamming into the front of Otis and squishing Harv, he ran into the back of Otis. So Otis fell down with a power slam, and all 600 pounds of the 2 men fell down on poor 150-pound Harv Sira. And Harv, shockingly, did not do the WrestleMania main event kick out at this point. He, in fact, did get pinned. Oney Lorcan was stretching backstage, did not seem to care that he would have a mystery opponent in the main event, and he very woodenly said that he was here to compete and to win. Watch NXT TakeOver, because up next we had the lengthy video package for the Authors of Pain, DIY, and the Revival. Watch NXT TakeOver. Look for yourself at the horrible booking of that match, and then go back to listen to my excellent, amazing, one-of-a-kind, 6.5-star NXT TakeOver recap from last Saturday, where I complained about the horrible booking of this match. That led to a Paul Ellering promo who said that this was vindication and a confirmation for the Authors of Pain. The entire WWE is trying to slow down their ascension to the top. Trying to slow down their ascension and stop their destiny, because they will be a dynasty. So what do you do when you have to fill a 50-minute TV show and have like 15 minutes of footage? You get to hear me tell you to go watch NXT TakeOver, because up next we got the extremely long video package looking at Bobby Roode and Shinsuke Nakamura. Now, at the end of this, we got like a 30 to 45 second going away video package. Maybe it was closer to a minute. A going away video package for Nakamura, basically showing everything he did in the last year, which was he came in, got introduced by Mr. Regal, he beat up Sami Zayn, he beat up Finn Balor, he wrestled Samoa Joe, and he lost to Bobby Roode. And then he bowed. They showed him bowing after the crowd, or after TakeOver to the crowd. They showed him touching the ramp, when he was leaving. And yeah, like, I didn't watch, I think there was videos of people taking video of Nakamura after the show on Saturday. I didn't actually watch them, and I kind of like, when people said it was obviously a goodbye, I was kind of like, yeah, everything's always a goodbye. But no, if you watched it, it was obviously him saying goodbye to NXT. Like, it was not, there's no doubt that this man was not coming back. Bobby Roode then cut a post-show promo. You know what he said. He said the same thing every week. Literally, I don't even need to recap it. You know what he said. Cameras cut up to Drew McIntyre after TakeOver, which, by the way, Go watch NXT Takeover. It featured Drew McIntyre sitting in the crowd and two people marking out behind him. He noted that he's won championships all over the world. He did not mention, by the way, that he was the first and only TNA guest on My Wrestling Outsiders podcast. However, he was the former TNA World Heavyweight Champion, and he's been a game changer and a brand builder, and he's now in NXT to win the NXT Championship, and he's going to be on NXT next week. Main event time, Oni Lorcan versus the debuting El Vagabundo. Vagabundo wore gear remarkably similar to former NXT superstar Elias Sampson. However, I would like to state, for the record, it is not Elias. You see, El Vagabundo wears a mask. Plus, remember last week, Cassius Ohno literally broke Elias Sampson's guitar, and this guitar was all in one piece. You can't just replace a family heirloom like a guitar. In fact, El Vagabundo even cut a promo saying he was El Vagabundo. And the fans, I want to point out, remember when I noted earlier that they didn't make the speech that the fans boo who they normally cheer and cheer who they normally boo and blah, 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 that crap that we're all tired of hearing that have made that Raw after WrestleMania less fun than it used to be? Well, the fans were really into El Vagabundo. Seriously. Even when he yelled at them and told them to shut up, they continued to cheer him and boo Boston's own Oni Lorcan. Oni Lorcan then embarrassed the city of Boston by claiming that he was the Drifter. Vagabundo was so upset that he attacked Lorcan at the bell. And I want to say, hopefully, I don't see Lorcan in Boston next week at SmackDown, because I may have to remind him how he embarrassed us here in New England by implying such chicanery. Nigel talked about his time in Mexico, speaking about El Vagabundo's time in Mexico, how he wrestled in Arena Mexico and all over the great country. And the same crowd, by the way, that chanted for Miz, chanted for Vagabundo. Sadly, we did not have an announcer saying that it was just a few people sitting in front of the camera. The fans did the Ole 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 chant for the debuting Luchador, as he used more of a ground-based offense than you're used to when it comes to luchadores. And he took down Lorcan. Lorcan made his comeback and pulled off Vagabundo's mask. And oh my God, it was the Drifter. I did not see that coming. And Lorcan, in the confusion, hit Starting Blockbuster. He pins Vagabundo. He pinned the Drifter. I don't know who he pinned, but only Lorcan won here. And after the match, a female cop came down to apprehend Sampson and remove him. If you told me it was the same female cop that tried to apprehend Rob Gronkowski on Sunday, I would believe you. Anyway, he tried to ignore her, so she grabbed his hair, put him in a wrist lock, and led him away. And that brings us, ladies and gentlemen, to the end of the show. Again, I made the main event sound like a lot more fun than it was. Do not watch the show. Don't watch it. I know I've said this before, that certain shows are skippable. No. Don't watch the show. Seriously. Stop. I know you're sitting there thinking, I'm going to put it on anyway just to see if it's really that skippable. Don't. Stop. Stop what you're doing right now. Stop trying to put that show on. Step away from the NXT. The NXT will be back next week, and theoretically, better. But don't watch this week. Watch Takeover. If you've already watched it, watch it again. But that's going to do it for this week. Thank you all for listening to my shockingly 14 minutes on a show that had no new material, well, very little new material. Thank you all for listening, and I'll talk to you again in 7 days.
You're listening to the Angry Marks Podcast Network.